Tuesday. I am your host, Yane Robinson, also known as the Education Messiah, and the CEO and founder of Reading for Smiles. Tonight, I am joined by my fabulous co-host, Adwele Disu, president of Learning Leaders International, and we are joined by our own special guest, Adwele Disu. But we're going to call you Wale for tonight. Okay, Wale?
That is okay.
I don't want to get tongue-tied on tonight's session. So this is our first time ever broadcasting live this way. So we're trying something out new, but we are also still live on the call. So you can see us visually or you can join in on the number. Either way, we are here. And if you are on the phone, please press *6 if you have any questions as we get towards the Q&A session of the broadcast. I'm so excited for us to touch into a topic we haven't discussed yet. Tonight, we're really going in on how to prepare for your substitute. You know, what is it from the substitute's perspective? Wale has subbed a few times. And what is it that you can offer to your substitutes to get them really prepared for your class and to win? You want your kids to win. You want the substitute to win. No one wants to get a note from the substitute based on behavior, work that wasn't completed, or anything negative. You know, you want to get positive feedback. And actually, one great story, I don't know if Kendra will be able to jump on tonight. Actually, she's a teacher in Maryland, and she went away, and her substitute actually went beyond measure and had an assignment completed with her students before she even came back. So she was elated because the kids were able to finish something that they had been working on, and they did great jobs. Like, she showed pictures of the work on Facebook to everyone, to her friend and in the community, about the work that they did. And great stories all the time about great substitutes and things that they've done. So to kind of hear a news story or the perspective about it was actually awesome, and also actually awesome to see the work, because that was a substitute who cared to make sure that those children produced quality work as well, and to finish off what the teacher had started. So before we get to our guests.
Yes.
Bola, we posted earlier in the group. I mean, that was our gimmick one. That was us testing the waters. But then we started to actually discuss some tips, because that's what we do naturally.
Right.
You were sharing that as a school leader, you would have your teachers prepare booklets or binders for the substitutes that would come in.
Right.
About things that you encouraged to be the layout for that.
Right. Yes. So we had like a sub-content folder, and these things just had like the logistics of the day, right? So basically the teacher would put in, you know, a detailed lesson plan, not just, aside from the detailed lesson plan that they would have, they would also include like location of the specials, because we had like, you know, science teacher, Spanish teacher. So the location of the specials. It also included students who go for different forms of interventions. So if students went to a reading intervention teacher or ESL or resource room, that was also indicated in the plan. Attendance sheets. Very important. That was listed. A lunch count procedure, like how do we take the lunch count? So different procedures and protocols that are established and implemented daily.
Wale?
Yes, I'm here. It looks like
Okay.
it went out. She froze a little bit.
So she froze. It's okay. Well, till she comes back, she'll have to rejoin in with us. And I know she's going to be upset because she was just getting ready to get good.
The sub know if they're what'd you say?
You went out. You went out.
You went out.
Oh, okay.
Come back. start from the point when you discussed about, where the specials were, knowing where the specials were.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay, so yeah. So we had, where the room numbers of the specials or resource room or any kind of intervention the children go to daily, the attendance sheets, lunch counts, procedures, things of that nature. Also the class schedule, so that the teacher knows, period by period, like how long the periods are, but then what subjects to teach. That's very important. The seating chart, the arrangement of seating chart, any kind of emergency contact information, like the class list, because just in case we went on a fire drill, that is one thing that the teacher needs to have, is not only the head count, but also a class list to know who the students in the classroom. Another important thing was my phone number, right? So my extension, right? My office extension, as well as the main office, so they can call just in case, there was an incident or just for any reason they had a question or anything, or comment. Another thing is even for dismissal, what kind of, so we had like the procedures for arrivals, but also for dismissal as well. How do we dismiss? Because at our school, we had a busser's line as well as a walker's line. So the teacher had to know, how to dismiss students, in that fashion, as well as specific notes about students who may get into conflict with each other, but asking the teachers not to disclose too much information about the child. Any kind of personal information, do not put there, but just give them like a little snapshot of a profile of the child, or the children that couldn't, be together for whatever reason or whatever. And then also, any other helpful notes, such as if there was an event that day that was going on, just so that the children don't miss out on anything special or whatever the case is, they know that there was a special event and the kids were, so for example, if there was a book buddy system going on, like this was a time for them to go to another class, the substitute teacher would know that. So for example, if there was a book buddy system going on. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Because I can kind of hear myself back.
Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm trying to figure out what else is up.
Right, I don't know. And then also a space for the substitute teacher to make any comments at the end of the day, positive or otherwise, just how did the students do for the day? And so other than the detailed lesson plan, these procedures were very, very important so that they know, procedural things that go on a day-to-day and for that day especially. So, yeah. So I had a whole list. So it's called a subfolder content checklist. That's what we called it. A subfolder content checklist. I put together with the teachers, with the help of the teachers, because they know what's important, right? And then they would have it at either on their desk, right? Or they would have it in a pocket folder. As soon as the teacher comes in, they'll see it on the wall, like hanging on the wall. So and it was labeled subfolder, so that the sub can know, that it's there. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like.
You gotta systematize these things. You really do. You really do. You do.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would probably make any substitute's life easy when everything is in one set place and they don't have to look around or call around the school trying to find out something.
Right.
I've seen that. I won't say where, but I've seen that. Thanks for that. So let me ask you, how often were these binders updated? Or did you ever have them check the content that was going in from time to time? Talk about that.
Right. So the procedures were always standard, right? Except for if it's anything to do with a child, like if they wanted to update a child's information, right? But everything else procedure-wise is what we do. But the lesson plans, however, would be updated, right? Sometimes the teachers would know when they are going to be absent. For example, if they're going to be sent to a workshop outside of the class, outside of the school, if they are going to attend any kind of conference, they already know that, right? So now they're able to prepare and have those detailed lesson plans. Now, what I advise the teacher is not to have anything new to teach. In other words, you don't leave the newness of teaching teaching a new subject matter to the substitute teacher, because chances are the substitute teacher may not know how to teach it in that way, in the way that you would teach it to your students, right? That's one. And two, maybe the teacher is not a qualified teacher, so to speak, because sometimes we don't have, those aren't the ones that come to us sometimes, right? So again, give them something where it's like either a reteach or a review or something like that. I mean, children can always do with a review, right, of some sort, but nothing that the substitute teacher has to figure out in a sense of teaching a brand new lesson. That's your job. That's your job. So the teachers knew that, but that's not to say you give busy work. It has to be work that is intellectually and emotionally stimulating to the children, right? You don't want to break the children's routine just because, of a substitute. So again, it also depends too on the experience level of the substitute. That's why for me, I used to like to keep a core set group, because I knew that core set already knew the culture of the school. So they knew how we conducted our morning meetings, right? Or they knew how we we had our schedule for the day, our flow of the day. They knew that. So, and I had already built a relationship and a rapport with them. So I knew that they had a little bit more experience. And so again, no new teach, that's for any sub that comes in. But again, they knew the philosophy of our school. So yeah.
Okay, my last question, and then I want to kind of hear from Wale.
Okay.
You said you knew those subs. Is it because, were they just people who were frequently coming into the school, or,
right,
did you work with a specific company?
Right. So we had a company, right, that we outsourced that did send the subs to us. But for me, I would also, during the course of the day, go to the classrooms, and I'm observing the subs. I'm observing the subs, because it's very important. It was very important for me to have consistency in my building. Yes. So if I knew that you were a good substitute teacher, I would call the sub-service and say, you know what, these are my core people that I would love you to call. And if they're not available, then you can call other, but these are my core group. That's my preference. And they allowed me to do that, because there are just some that they're just with it, and they care about kids, and they're going to, they're going to adapt to your culture, and they're a good fit. So once you find that good fit, you try as much as possible to build that relationship and that rapport with that substitute teacher, right? So that the substitute teacher could also request your school too, right? So it's a reciprocal thing. So yeah, so I already knew who my core was. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Wale.
I'm hearing, this is the thing about live. You can't fake it. We have our garage. We have our garage, and I don't know, for the past couple of days, it's just been off and on sometimes. And I think I hear my wife coming in.
It's
so
okay.
She might come into the front door. If she starts calling my name, I'm going to probably mute things and just let her, just reassure her. Okay. Yep. She just sent me a text. Oh, man, I love live. I don't know how you're going to edit this, Yanni.
I can't. It's streaming right now.
Yes, okay. I know.
That's why she heard the echo, because she heard the echo, because I actually went to the link and realized that I also had the live stream as if I was a observer playing. Oh. So that was the echo that you heard. So I tried to hurry up and X that out.
Okay.
So Wale, first of all, let's start this way. Where are you actually located? Because we know we're here in New York. So where are you located?
I'm so sorry. give me like 1 second. Let me just send this reply back. Okay. Let me start by saying, rewind. Let me start by saying thank you to both of you for having me on, Yanni and Bola. I feel like it's a privilege. I hope enough teachers and substitutes will come on here. I was telling Bola before I was in the U.S. Navy, and whenever I saw people that served in the military, I'd say thank you for your service. After my first week of doing this stuff, every time I run into a teacher or a sub, I'm saying, thank you for your service. God bless you. And God bless America.
Oh my God. It's my job for the week. I'll tell you that.
I love it.
My mom was talking me off the edge. I was like, anyway, I'm in sunny Jacksonville, Florida. I live here with my wife, and it's right now. I love it. We're gonna be visiting New York in October, but the weather is typically good. Sometimes in the summer it can get humid, but that's where I am. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, here in the South. So it's pretty cool. I like it.
So
here.
Listen, we have to come visit you.
Right. You know what's so interesting about his substitute journey, and I know you're going to ask, but he actually has covered all the grades. Like he's done elementary, middle, and high school.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Right. So it'd be interesting to hear his perspective on all three. But go ahead, Yane. You're the moderator, so go ahead.
Thank you.
Yes. I just wanted to throw that in.
So, Wale, let me ask you, are you tied to a specific district, or are you through a sub-service? Let's go that way.
Well, I'm through a sub-service, and even though it's public schools, the sub-service is Kelly Staffing Services, and so they do like the training, they do the hiring, they do the vetting process, they do the background checks, the orientation, and all that. And then so you're not working for, and then the district or the county that I'm working in, because they're different counties, even though Kelly does the servicing for all those counties, is Duval. So Duval County. So if I was to go to another county over here, like Clay County and any other county, even though it's still in Jacksonville, I would still have to go through certain processes again, even though it's through Kelly Services. So it's considered Duval County, so it's called Duval County Public Schools.
Oh, okay. So now wait. You said you had to go through a training. Is the training specifically for substitutes, or is it a training because now you are part of their company's team?
It's specifically for substitutes, and it's substitutes, and what I got was substitutes and paraprofessionals. But more specifically for substitutes. So even though you're considered part of their company, but that's their training. They staff for other things, but that training that I went to, and most of it was done online, even though we did some things in person, it's specifically for substitute teaching.
Now, are these educators leading this training?
No. No, well,
he's like, no.
At first glance, I would say no. Now, some of these people have been substitute themselves. So, but they don't strike me as educators. They have somewhat of an extensive, well, for someone, and I'll say some things that I think that as a substitute, some things that I think will be of value to you in terms of your character to really be successful as a substitute. Because I know some people, and I was close, that the first day, there was a lady I was talking to at a church, my pastor's wife, and he was talking about someone else. I'm not going to say who it is, but they just cried. They cried the first day they worked in middle school, and they said, "I'm never going back." And I can understand that, and some people have worked with high schoolers, and it's hard. It can be a hard thing. So I think there's some things that some innate characters or some characters that you have to develop to be successful and to keep going and not lose your mind. But most of the people then struck me as someone that had experience, in being a substitute, but they weren't like educators. So they had like a course that you can go online, several hours. You had to take a test. They talk to you about substitutes, paraprofessionals, talk to you about drills and different things. And for someone that is new to the whole education thing, so I went to school for accounting. Then I was doing my master's in business, thought about doing counseling. I did life coaching. So I'm a life coach. I have a business with my wife. I'm into business. So I'm not like Bola was saying, some subs come in there and their background is not education. I like to teach. I do workshops and I teach at church and things like that. So that's one of the things when I said, you know what, doing this part-time, maybe it's a way for me to give back. I could earn a little bit doing it, but I love to teach. So, but to answer your question, I don't believe that everyone that is in charge of facilitating those, they teach you like the basics, like even things like no touch policy. Here, I don't know what it is like in New York, but here if a kid falls down, you give them a teddy bear, you don't touch them. If a kid does a good job, you don't pat them on the back, you give them 2 thumbs up. It was, I'm just gonna say, I have stories. I've been there for less than 3 months or so, and I have stories. But I remember one time, this was my second day, and the kids saw me, they called me Mr. D. So, because my last name is Disu, so they call me Mr. D. I said, that's fine, Mr. D. So, it's like, Mr. D, how are you doing? It was the most awkward, because he went to give me a handshake, and I remember in my training, so I was like, no. And he was like, trying to give a hug, no. So I did like, let's, he was like, oh, okay. I don't care if the child is bleeding. Don't touch that child. I was like, wow. So for someone that doesn't, I don't know if that's normal, but I can understand where they're coming from. So there's some things that are basic that you can learn, but I'll tell you, whenever I have a chance to get into that, some of the characteristics I think you need to possess, some of the basics to just make it.
Yeah, tell us some of the characteristics.
Tell it now. Share it now.
Okay. So how about
you have a list. You have a scroll.
Because pull out a list.
You have to understand. Now I have my notes here.
Look at him. I told you what my brother's like. Look at him. Got his two cards and everything.
It's actually my sub-platform today.
Go ahead.
Wait. Wale, is that?
Go ahead, Wale. Go ahead.
God bless America.
Yes, that's it. God bless America.
So, because you got to understand, have you ever tried to do something? I know all of us, and I was thinking about it. One of the things that differentiates or separates the successful from the unsuccessful, there are many things, but one is that they're willing to feel the fear and do it anyway. And most of that are unsuccessful are unwilling to hit places that are uncomfortable. So that uncomfort, unless you're forced into it. So you have to understand that as a sub, especially when I started out, and I'm going to say some things as teachers, I understand, like, teachers sometimes, or even the bookkeepers, the administrators, sometimes when they see subs, oh, here's another sub, and there are different things I'm explaining in their head, but you have to understand that not everyone is a professional at it yet. Mm-hmm. So for me, it might be day one, and then I might be new to that school. So for a sub, some of the characteristics are you have to be able to be a quick learner, because unless, like Bola says, the school picks you and then their routine, it can be exciting because you're going from place to place, grades to grades. It's like it can be an adventure. Mm-hmm. You can drive. I've driven to all parts of Jacksonville. I was driving somewhere today where I went to sub, and I was like, I didn't know this place existed, as I drove past that place. So, but they don't sometimes understand, I don't think, because they make it seem like, okay, you just go down here, go here, and that's the classroom. Like, figure it out, and it's like to the sub. So one of the things is that you have to be a quick learner, because it can be very scary, especially if you're not someone that likes to be uncomfortable, to be able to to build your and to be confident. You have to also be confident because when you get into the classroom, the kids almost get like sharks. They can smell blood. They know if you don't know what you're doing. You have to put on that.
I love that, Wale, because it's true. Yeah. They can smell if you don't know what you're doing, but they can also smell if you're genuine or not.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. They know who care for them and they know who don't.
Yes, right. they can. I'm really amazed sometimes because when I started out, I wanted to be. Well, let me just read through my stuff.
Okay.
Well, one of the things is to be flexible. You have to be flexible because I've had situations where they say, hey, I was teaching, I think it was a high school to middle school. So I taught high school, and they usually have the first period. I was teaching technology or something like that. So I did the first period, second period, third period. Then I was gonna have, I forget what it's called, that break where it's planning. They call it
prep.
Well, they call it planning here. So it's planning where for the sub, there's nobody. So that's why I call recoup time.
Right. Yes.
To rein back in your sanity. So, but at that last time, the office calls me and says, hey, Mr. Disu, I know that it's supposed to be planning time for this hour and 40 minutes, your last hour and 40 minutes, but I would like you to go here for middle school. And, I had a challenging day. There was a thought, I'll be honest, that I wanted to say no. No, thank you. Find someone else. Even if I have to clock out and leave, find someone else. But I just said, yes, I'll do it. So being flexible sometimes because you don't want to burn bridges.
Right.
And I've learned that sometimes when you open yourself to things, then you never know what will transpire. So I like to say it turned out good, but it was a middle school class and they were some rowdy bunch of people. But but you have to be flexible because it can have you, like today I went in, sometimes I go in and I found out that my niche that I want to deal with are second graders and third graders.
Ah.
But I went to a school one time and they said, oh, I don't know why the system told you it was third grade. It's going to be fifth grade.
Mm.
And I was like, I've done some fifth graders and I don't really want to do that, but I was flexible. Today I went in there and the teacher says, because they could leave details. And we have a system with Kelly where we log in and you can see what jobs are available, what the grades are and things like that. There's this, you can leave like an attachment. I don't know why they don't take advantage of that.
Right.
But you also prepare the subs to say, okay, like today, I was actually subbing for 2 teachers because they were doing a training. So I would sub for this teacher in the morning and then switch to the other teacher. Right. It happened that the teacher's homeroom was going to be switching. So I stayed with the same kids because that was going to be her homeroom. Right. But I didn't know that. So it's almost like surprise. And you have to be able to go with the flow. So flexibility, quick learner. You have to be confident. You have to love to learn. You have to love to learn because you're going to learn, you're going to learn from the kids. You're going to learn from the experience. You have to love to learn. You have to love to teach. I think, you got to love to teach. And then you got to love and like people, especially the kids. Like you said, sometimes I feel like I'm strict and stern, but the kids can sense that it's out of love because they will still come back and say, hey, Mr. D, I really like you. You're a good substitute. So that's really rewarding when I get the kids say that.
Right. So. That's good. That's good.
Let me ask you, well, you already said your favorite group to work with is like second or third grade. Has a principal ever came in to visit you while you were teaching with the class?
No. Which is another thing is, and I know Bola was saying something about, she called it the subfolder content checklist. I would say as a sub, even though I like to learn and I feel like I'm a quick learner, I like details, but not to the degree that they become too complicated. Because sometimes teachers will leave me some things and I'm like, what in the world? Then later on, when I realize what's going on, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But sometimes the details can be too convoluted. But no, and that's kind of sad that sometimes people don't check in on you. And sometimes, like I said, I'll use this example I heard recently. It's kind of like someone was saying, like, a nurse who has seen a lot of deceased people, so to them, if your grandpa dies, it's like, okay, clean up on aisle, it's like, cool, whatever. Someone else says, but to you, that's new to you.
Right.
Even though they've seen it reoccur several times, they have to be able to empathize and say, okay, I've seen this already 100 times today.
Right.
Talk of, I've been doing nursing for 30 years, but this is someone's first experience.
Right.
And you do that. So with a sub, you can't just be like, sometimes I'm just blown away at the way they treat it. Like, it's almost like, and I feel like they set the precedence for how the students react to subs. What's your culture in terms of subs?
Right.
Do you see them as outsiders? Because some schools, I know they say that schools can blacklist you. So if they don't like you, you won't get a call again. You won't even see that school show. But I sometimes will blacklist schools.
Right. Sometimes you got to blacklist them yourself. Right.
Yes. I'm gonna tell you that is true. And then there's some substitutes who tell their agencies, guess what? I don't want to go back there.
Never again. I'm sorry. I had a kid tell me, hey, Mr. D, you coming back? I said, no, tomorrow's Saturday. So you coming back later? I was like, no, we'll see. I was thinking, I ain't coming back. You're the reason why.
Right. You're the reason.
So, I didn't say it to him, but I was thinking to myself.
That's why it's you know what? It's so funny because as you mention it, and I'm thinking just back to how I inducted subs into my building. I think for me, it was a pride thing. I took pride in my school, and I didn't want anybody. I don't care if you're a sub, a parent, whatever. I don't want you feeling unwelcomed, I want you to know that in this school, we welcome everybody. So to me, I took it personal when a substitute or anyone didn't have a good experience in my school. I mean, I took pride in my school.
That's awesome.
I used to come to the school. I mean, school starts at 7:30, but I was always there like what time? 5:45, 6 o'clock. So I was usually there to greet the substitute teachers. For me, I thought it was important because to go in with the substitute in the morning, to just calm them, because I understand you're in a new environment. You don't know what's going on, but making them feel successful. So setting them up for success. That was important to me because I felt that if I set you up for success, then you're gonna set my students up for success. And I didn't want my students to have a day or a second or a minute without having quality instruction. If you're an adult in the building and I can support you in what you have to do for my kids, then I'm going to have to do it because it's my responsibility. So for me, I took that very seriously. And so I would walk the substitute teacher or even my secretary sometime, that would take the sub upstairs and just get them situated and even look for if their folder wasn't around or available. I'll make sure that that they have the folder. I'll say, have a seat, to look it over. Gave them time to look it over. And then let them know, when it's time to go pick up the students, right? But then periodically in the day, I want to know, how are you doing? Another thing that I would do, if it's a classroom that I know was a little notorious or whatever, we didn't have too many of those, but if I did feel that, I would go up with the class and the substitute teacher and let the students know that I know that your teacher is absent. Yes. And your teacher has entrusted this substitute teacher, Mrs. or Mr. Jones, to you, and you guys are going to learn great things today. But so I had to set up the culture, the environment up for the students so that they know it's business as usual. I don't care who stands in front. And so it also let the teacher know that we are partners, right? Yeah. And that, so starting that early is very, very important from the minute that they walk into the building, because it says a lot about your school and what you're about. It speaks a lot about your values. And if you cannot value your substitute teacher that comes in, you're not valuing your students and or your families. And that to me is uncalled for. You have to value whoever's standing in front of your students. You do. So that was very important to me. And yeah, that's how, there was a substitute teacher that we wound up hiring.
Mm.
We had a substitute teacher where we didn't know that, one of our teachers was really going to be out long term. But what was that I noticed that this substitute teacher was really good, loved our kids, had similar qualities to what you listed, Wally. And so I was like, wow, I don't mind training you when you have the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's something that you can't really teach, right? Mm-hmm. So if you have a heart for my kids, I'll train you. I'll send you to training. I'll invest in you because I know you invested in my kids.
Yes.
And that is very important. So so I really admire substitute teachers. I really respect them because they are, like you said, Wally, they're putting themselves out there. And a lot of them, some of them are not, they don't have an educational background. So, being in your school is like the first teacher training that they get. So so make it count for them too. I do want to, thank you for your service as well as a substitute teacher. That's staying in the game. Yeah, I love it.
I want to answer a question you asked. Mm-hmm. Well, I said, because you had asked, has any principal ever come to into my classroom? And then to pick up what Bola was saying, and no, I haven't had one. I did have an assistant principal. Mm-hmm. I saw her on my way out at a school, and she was asking about my day and things like that. And she said some things because that was the only school. I've had some schools where I've been in there and a teacher is there, and so the teacher's trying to set things up, but it's still not. But what Bola said, I had one school do that, and when I went into the school. I don't want to just give out too much information, information. But I remember going to the school, and first of all, I was thinking to myself, I don't know, because I always start to judge. I want to be back here, what's the culture like and things like that. But when I went into the classroom, a teacher came in later on, before the school started, and said, "Hey, this is my name. This is the other teacher that's beside you. The three of us, I think, we are the same grades." And she did that. She says, "If the students give you any trouble, put them out." I was like, "What?" She was like, "Yeah, put them out. Send them to my classroom. Send them to the other lady's classroom. They know better." And then what they did, which I've never had that happen before. Before they started school, we all met at the cafeteria. They said, "Hey, tomorrow," I think it was on a Wednesday or Thursday. They said, "Guess what we're having this Friday?" It was like drama. It was either drama or movies or both. And she was like, "Yes." And guess what? This teacher is out. And guess who our sub is? Mr. Disu here. Says, if he tells me any of you have done anything wrong, you guys are going to lose your privileges. And so it's what it did was it empowers the sub, gives the sub confidence. They don't feel like they're in it on their own. I remember leaving the cafeteria, some kids were talking, and the lady, I was feeling bad for the kid. So they see this guy over here. If he looks at you any kind of way, put him out. You see her right there? She's talking. Even if she just sniffs, if she sneezes the wrong way.
My goodness.
I was inside. I was clapping inside because I've been to places where it's like you're on your own. Because kids know when there's no consequence. Right. And when I first started, I didn't know how to do the consequence. Right. And there's something here, which is the clipboard, and there's also a chart. I love the clipboards. Mm-hmm. And I found that it works primarily for second and third grade.
Right. It depends on the grade. Right.
They threw off all restraints. So I think with a sub, the structure, I wrote it down here, structure the students, helping them do their work more effectively by having structure. The students, like I said, what is the culture for the students? How are they taught to treat the subs or respect the subs or see the then directions? Some of the things you said, like lesson plans, seating charts, very important because when students don't know that the teacher doesn't know, they're going to sit, and there's a reason why they separated those students because they're causing issues. And I've learned since I started, if those are their seats, I can send them to other seats. Like, I don't want to sit there. Yes, you're going to sit there because I've warned you too many times. But what are the special situations? If there are any numbers, I put down here, contacts, and then also here, inclusion. So that all those are under direction, but also inclusion. Sometimes I find as a sub, even though the person is coming through, you never know if that person is going to come back again.
Right.
I'll just say this as a leader. I found this because one of the things that even in my church, I'm a leader. I learned that, it's the burden of the person, like the host. If you come to my house, it's not your burden to make me to engage in conversation. I have to make you feel welcome.
Mm-hmm.
So if I come to your school, if you come to my church, I'm going to come and say, hey, hi, nice for visiting.
Right.
I'm not going to you to approach me. So sometimes, and I want to ask you, ladies, this, Yanni, you can continue the question, but I notice here there are not a lot of men, and not a lot of what's the right term to use? African American men? I don't know. Ethnic men.
Right.
So already maybe that's one thing. So many ladies want to be on their own, which is fine with me. I'm confident, but I can see how someone that is maybe not confident in being by themselves, confident in what they're doing, may feel like, well, I'm not really wanted or welcomed here.
Right.
So just that inclusion of, oh, hey, we may never see you again, but thank you for being here.
And,
that stands out about you, though, is not only that just because you are a leader, but you were, like you said, you were flexible and you were open to learn. So some people see children and are intimidated. I have people who tell me all the time, I don't know how you do that. I couldn't do that. And I look at other people, depending on what their field, and say, I couldn't do that.
Right.
But because you are a teacher and caring, to be a life coach, you have to be a caring type of individual.
Right.
And to be a great teacher, you have to be a caring type of individual.
That's right.
So in order to walk this lane or to share a part of this lane, that has to be at your core. And everyone does not have that at their core. We want everyone to have that, right? Especially the base, I always use doctors as a prime example. I look at them as the same as teachers. We are all on the same page because we are using transformational energy when we're handling our clients.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the same.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are not sincere and caring, a social and emotional feel like this is not for you.
Right.
And you couldn't adapt.
Right.
You couldn't adapt. Watering for whatever reason. So
maybe right.
But I love the fact that you were willing to give it a try. And it's a blessing for children to see men.
Yes.
I just had this conversation with my students yesterday as we were discussing not always having rights, and then looking at, well, now we have this right to vote, we have this right to work, because women were not always in the house at a time period. So how generationally we have changed and transformed into different roles. And then to see a Black man ahead of a classroom is almost like a rare commodity. It's like having the billionaire come in the room like, oh,
right.
Wow. It's a wow factor.
True.
You might have students who want to be on their best behavior because they've never seen anything like you before.
Right.
And then you got some people who will try it because it's like, oh, this ain't good. We used to women coming in here. You never know what kind of impact your presence will have. And the notions of what people are taught in their homes, because every time you come through the door as a child, you're bringing your whole house with you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And as educators, we don't know what we get, especially at the school year. You be like, oh, all right.
Right.
Okay, wait, what? Okay, let me make a notation of this because I see this is how you act all the time. I'm gonna have to practice something and try to reach you a different way because my first way ain't working.
Yes.
Right.
And I have to understand that. Like I had a student yesterday who, poor thing, I didn't want to challenge his mom, but he goes, I am from Egypt. And I said, yeah, I know that. So he goes, well, my mother, we were talking about Africa. And he was like, well, Egypt is not in Africa. And I was like, who told you that? And he said, well, my mom said it's like part Africa, but then it's like part Middle East. And I said, your mother is entitled to how she views it. But if we look at this map,
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to show you on a map that Egypt is in the continent of Africa. Now, do you guys have Middle Eastern traits and you can cross ties due to religion? Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you closely resemble each other? Absolutely. But its physical location, that's in Africa. And I ain't saying mama's wrong. I'm just telling you, it's in Africa. I said, well, why would you say that? I said, I mean, it's a good question, but maybe you guys could look at the map together. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I said, well, actually, let me tell you. At my time in the United Nations, I learned that Northern Egyptians considered themselves Caucasian. They never, and they did not identify with Black, and they did not identify with truly being African either. So I learned that at my time at the UN, and it was a total shock for me. So he said, "Oh, so they were open, and we were just having an all-out discussion, and you have these type of opportunities to really explore and learn together and share together." But I took full advantage of the opportunity because it was like, well, let's learn this together. Lord saying that. I mean, clearly it's there. If I feel you on the African continent, you African. I mean, power. Let me say, but I understand it culture-wise, and I would never diminish whatever your mother told you. But I am going to show you just from what I know. So again, seeing a person of color, seeing a person of Black descent, seeing a person who's different from my teacher, it's all a shell shocker in the beginning. Stranger. I'm on the grade, they love a stranger. Hi, welcome. So depending on the grade, they're gonna welcome you first.
Right.
High schoolers are more so like, what we're about to do. We run this. This is our class. You the visitor.
Yeah.
Both are absolutely right in school leaders taking that time to really set the tone.
Yes.
It is so important. And sometimes I wish we could duplicate Bola in so many ways because she has always set the standard in her work all the time. And it never came from a judgmental place. It was always from a sincere, helpful place. And that's the type of people that we need as role models and leaders in our school. And no, I ain't bigging my friend up, but I am saying what she is and what she brings.
Well, thank you.
No, sometimes people are like, oh, they know each other. They're just going to compliment. No. If you know me, I'm just going to tell you the truth.
That's right.
No matter how however it comes out.
Right.
But, I love that. And I think what I'm laughing about on the inside, because, I always take my notes. When Wale said, he wanted details, but not so many details where it becomes confusing.
Right.
And it's true. How often are we clear?
Right.
The clarity brings peace.
Yes, it does.
Clarity brings peace. And if we are not operating in clarity, we are doing ourselves a disservice. And when there's no clarity, too, because the children know you don't know as a substitute, we're going to have a field day. Because we know you don't know and there ain't nothing clear to you. But when things are clear and I know that my teacher has set the tone, or I know that principal is coming through here, oh, baby, we say, get my behavior. I don't want you calling so-and-so. I don't want you calling my mom. I don't want you doing any of these things.
Yes.
But it's so crazy. Oh, I think I lost my phone. Oh, well, they'll have to catch this live. I just heard the lady come on. But we are down to our last 10 minutes.
Right.
Is there anything else either one of you would love to share?
Go ahead.
To be a sub.
What?
Say that again. What was you asking him?
How can we get Wale to be a sub here in New York?
I know.
Oh,
I know. Would it be a long commute?
I'll have to retrain myself. I just think I'm just so
No, you know what? Not for nothing. You could be a virtual substitute. That day is coming.
Yeah.
That day is coming. That day is
I'm chucking this up. One of the things that I do also is I speak.
Mm-hmm.
So this is also good material. You know, one time I was in my sub class, I said to myself, I can see how they came up with that show, Kids Say the Darnest Things. Because they do say and do the darnest thing. I was telling my wife, they always love when I come in. I have stories upon stories. I mean, from day one, where I went to kindergarten, there's a show, my sister was joking with me. There's this show, which is a kid show by Disney called Recess.
Right.
And they portray each grade differently.
Right.
Kindergartners are portrayed as savages. They have like their cells painted and they have like the pitchforks that count. Like,
You talking about the cartoon?
Yes, I love that show.
I love that show.
I used to watch that show before I'd go to work.
Oh, I used to watch that show before I went to school.
Yeah. And that's it. Before I'd go to work, right? Just to the school. Yeah, I would watch Recess.
So before I started subbing,
Now
I can see where they're getting some of their inspiration. But I was going to kindergarten and we went into the class and it was like all hell broke loose. Everybody was just running around like they wanted something. And I'm like, oh my Lord. A paraprofessional comes in and says, I heard you needed help. I'm looking at myself like, I didn't call anybody. I guess I didn't send out an SOS, but I guess they picked it up. So I remember I was trying to, my mom likes that. I don't know. It wasn't funny at the time. I found out that there's this little kid, even though he's in kindergarten, whatever he did, the other kids were modeling after him. They were mimicking whatever he did. So I sat him down. I said, hey, I'm not going to say his name. I'm going to not say his name to protect the guilty. I said to him, do you know that you're a leader? I said, you're a leader. He says, no, I'm not a leader, Mr. D. I'm a follower. I said, oh my God. I was trying to give him some John Maxwell tips. He wasn't buying it. Oh my God. I can tell you stories. Oh, that
was so funny when he told us that story.
The guy just kept denying it.
I'm a leader? I'm a follower.
He's like, oh, I can't get through to this little kid. I've had situations. I remember, anyway, I was telling my wife, it's not too funny, but because I've been everywhere. I find that like in success, even when I talk about purpose, sometimes to find your specific purpose when you don't know, you have to try different things that are close to what you want, because you can't say this is what I want, this is who I am sometimes. So the same thing with school. I didn't know what grade I wanted to teach, so I was trying different grades. I remember I went to this school and they said something about, forget how they worded it. And it was almost, there was one that they said exceptional students. Well, first, before they did that one, they worded another one a certain way. So I thought, wow, these must be top-notch students. I forget how they worded it. But when I went there, it was students that had been kicked out of school. And basically that was their last-ditch place. So I was like, oh my gosh, how did I get myself here? So I was still learning. And then when I saw another place where they said exceptional students, I thought exceptional meant these kids were the brightest of the brightest. So I was like, because when I went into substitute teaching, my goal was these people want to learn. I want to inform and inspire people. That's my MO, my mode of operation. So when I started finding like kids didn't want to learn, I think back now and I'm saying to myself, I don't know why I'm surprised, because adults are the same way. You know, they don't always want to learn. So kids are the same way. They don't always want to learn. So it was a little bit discouraging. So when I saw exceptional students, I thought, well, these kids are the best of the best. I found out that exceptional. Well, when I went in there, I had my tie. I'm glad I didn't wear my suit, because I was going to wear my suit and everything. And when
for these exceptional students. Yeah. Because I'm going to be an exceptional teacher.
Yes. So I wanted to dress code. So when I went in, I saw a guy with his ball cap, and he was wearing denim shorts, and he was wearing tennis shoes. And I was looking at this guy like, I'm looking for the main office. He was looking at me too, like, okay. I was like, then we were walking to the same place. I said, I guess he could think about what I was thinking about. He's like, yes, I teach here. I said, maybe he's going to change in the room or something like that. So when I went, we started looking around. Everybody, I was like, everyone was looking at me like I was sticking out like a sore thumb. It ended up being the exceptional students were special needs students. And so students that had autism issues and things like that. So that was an issue. So I remember one of the things they did was we had to take them on the track. Everybody was wearing tennis shoes. They're looking at me, my tie. Like, you must be new here, huh? I was like, yeah.
Right.
It wasn't funny. I was sweating with my tie walking around the track. You must be new here. I was like, yeah. No, your tie leaves. Your tie will not be back tomorrow. Oh man, but it's been an adventure, and I really appreciate you educators for what you do. Sometimes it's good to experience something,
yes,
so that you can empathize with people. Even if I don't do it for the rest of my life, I can say that I can understand a little bit.
Yes,
what it entails. So.
Okay.
Well, I thank you so much, Wale, for sharing with us tonight and joining in me and Bola's quirkiness for the evening.
Yeah.
So this is us all the time. This is us 24/7. So I'm just very grateful that you said yes and to share your experience with us live like this. And I'm gonna that you this whole time and we didn't fade out. My background fell behind me, but it's all right.
That's all right.
I was trying. Bola, any last words before I wrap up?
I just want to thank all substitute teachers. I think you're very special, and you are part of the educational community, no matter what your experiences are, where your background is. I just thank you for showing up and really helping our students and joining us in helping our students. So yeah, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, as we bring it to a close, I'll set up what the reminders is from my notes. Teachers and school leaders, take this opportunity to share with your community of other educators and know that substitutes matter to our foundation as well. Yes. They are the ones who come in and support us when we cannot be there. The highlights from tonight sit around on being inviting, principals, visits to substitutes to not only show your face of support, but to continue to encourage and to highlight the morale of your school and remind your students of that morale as well. Teachers, have plans that are clear and specific. Don't overload them. One who's a substitute educator, make it easy for them so that they can lead successfully in your room. Visit your students and set the tone if you're still in the present. Sometimes we have substitutes in the building and we're still in the building ourselves if we're doing professional development or some type of workshop or visiting with outsider consultants. Visit your room, pop your head in and remind your students about keeping the culture of your class intact. Value your substitutes. And I love this, Bola. I'm going to leave with Bola's note. Not only should we empower the subs, but we should value our substitutes because you value your students. It has been a pleasure serving with Wale Disu and Bola Disu tonight for Teacher Talk Tuesday. Next week, join us. Bola will be sharing some tips for, is it effective teacher leadership? What?
Building effective leadership teams.
Building effective leadership teams. Excuse me.
Yes.
I can't wait. Looking forward to dig deep on that. And the next following week, like I said, we will have 3 rockstar educators come on to share about the social, emotional aspect and special education aspect for our teachers too. It's been great. God bless. Have a good night. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.